What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Universal Mastery. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. What I do here, if you don't already know, is I break down the occult sciences and I break them down to a very practical degree so that you can use them and apply them in your real life simply by the things that I'm speaking about. Okay? Let me give you a little bit of clarity on who I am. My name is Jermain Schwartz. I am a professional occultist. I am fully initiated in the entire Kabbalistic tree. I'm studied when it comes to the 22 archetypal paths. And I'm also studied with planetary energies in regards to astrology. Okay? That was just to give you some clarity on who you're getting this information from so that you know you're getting it from somebody who is an actual practitioner that's been doing this for years now. Okay? So that's important to understand. Okay? Now, what is the topic of today's video? Okay, so the topic is literally going to be very interesting. It's going to be based around the villain characters within Hollywood-based movies. Okay, so what do I mean by this? Why is the villain within all of these movies, most of these movies, why is the villain a villain? You know, why is the villain always a ruthless, usually impeccable, warrior-spirited badass? Okay, why is the villain always like that? And why are the good guys always saving the world? Why are the heroes always saving the world? Okay, so I'm basically just going to be speaking about some deep occult science in regards to what these movies are built off of. Okay, so if you want to know a little bit more about why the villains in these movies are portrayed as bad guys, and then why the heroes are portrayed as the good guys, and then they make the dynamic of good versus evil, then this is definitely your video to watch, especially if you're somebody that gravitates towards the villains. Okay, if you're somebody who gravitates towards the darker characters within these movie films, like you have all of the DC, all the DC universe movies, you have all of the Marvel movies, you have, the heroes, and then you have the villains. Okay, once again, the villains are oftentimes badass characters that have some pretty badass qualities, and the heroes are always trying to save the world. And why is the villain always portrayed as this evil person, and then the heroes are always looked at in this positive light of, oh, this is who you should be like? So once again, if you want to know a little bit more about why the film industry is set up that way, then once again, this is your video to watch, so definitely stay tuned. Okay? So let's go right into it. So why is it set up like that? Why is the villain portrayed in a light where he should be destroyed or she should be destroyed? Okay? Well, this is the deal. So if you pay attention to most of these Hollywood A-list movies and their structures and how they're filmed and the concepts behind the movies, then you will see that it's usually the villain that is trying or is destroying the world, okay, is destroying the multiverse. Okay, so I'll give you a quick example with the Marvel series and the Avengers series, where you have Thanos that is trying to achieve all the gems from these different Marvel characters, the Avengers. And if he can achieve all the gems, then he's going to snap his fingers and eliminate most of the population, basically destroying it and then rebuilding a new multiverse. Okay, that's Thanos. And obviously Thanos is extremely powerful in the movie series. But then you have all the Avengers. For example, you have Thor, you have Iron Man, you have Hulk, you have Captain America, Black Widow. You have all these other characters that are trying to fight against the ultimate evil being, which in this case is Thanos. And simply, this concept of good versus evil duplicates and replicates itself in so many other types of movies. This is not an unknown concept. Obviously, the details within the movie are different than others, but the generalized context of this good hero trying to save the world from this evil, diabolical being shows up in all these movies. Now, you'll always know, if you pay attention, the diabolical being is always trying to destroy the world. And the heroes are always trying to save the world. Okay, so we have this context of the evil trying to destroy and the good trying to save. Now, obviously, with the world we live in today, there is a lot of corruption. Okay, there's a lot of inverted energy, so to speak. There's a lot of people that are completely lost, completely distracted away from their potential, out of touch of evolution, out of touch of source. And this is a reality that we live in. So this has not been a recent reality. This is a world that we've lived in for a couple hundred years now. But we still have this concept of these heroes in these movies saving the world and this villain destroying the world. Now, think about this. If there was people in our world today that were not in the midst of everyone else dealing with all these inversions and having to work corporations and having to pay taxes and having to deal with all these other mundane issues. Let's say, for example, there was people that had a lot more money, that were in the realm of being billionaires and had control of the economy that we live in. Now, obviously, those people, because they're rich, because they have the amount of wealth that they have, they're going to be completely fine with a world or a multiverse that is inverted. Actually, they're going to want to influence that further, because the more people are lost and out of touch of their true potential, that means the less likely they are of stepping out of the boundaries that were placed on them. Meaning they're better servants. They're better objective servants. Okay? Consumers is what the term is in our society. So, if I was one of those billionaires that was able to have my hand in the economy and control it, then I would want to do everything in my power to try to save the multiverse to stay the way it is. To try to literally not change. To invert it, to try to invert it and then keep it that way. I want to save this corrupted multiverse. I want to save the corrupted world that we live in. I want it to stay this way. If I was that kind of person, that's what I would want. That would be my intent. Okay? And you notice that if you trace it back to all the Hollywood industries, they do have their hands directly in the occult sciences, specifically connected to Kabbalah. And if you pay attention to the people that have control over the entire economy. Sorry, I was interrupted briefly, because obviously when you speak about these types of things, there are certain types of energies that don't want this information to be revealed. But it is what it is. I'm right here, I'm back, and I'm revealing it. So, long story short, all the parasites aside, trying to interrupt this message from getting across, as I was saying, if I was living in a world that I am controlling the economy of that world, then obviously I might want to keep that world, that society, that culture confused and away from their highest potential, because if I want to remain the richest person on the entire planet or the richest group of people on the entire planet, then I don't want competitors. I don't want people that are going to get to higher levels of awareness and realize that they're in a multiverse that's controlled by me. So I'm going to try to indoctrinate them to, one, be out of touch with their own evolution, out of touch with their purpose, out of touch with their soul. And I will use occult sciences to promote that. Obviously, if I'm somebody that uses the occult sciences. And once again, this is what I was saying. So with the people that are controlling the economy, those people have a Jewish bloodline. And when it comes to the movie industries that are based around Kabbalistic technology, and some of the main directors of these movies, the people that set up the entire movie making process, they have a Jewish bloodline as well. And Kabbalah itself is a Jewish system of occult science, okay? Hidden science that can cause real life effect. So it's not a far stretch to think that this Kabbalistic Jewish structured system is being used intentionally within these Hollywood movies and within the Hollywood movie industry. It's not a big stretch at all. And it's actually quite obvious if you actually do some research into it. You have tons of A-list celebrities that study Kabbalah, and it's because they're in that industry, and the industry is built on Kabbalah. So, long story short, this concept of the bad guy trying to destroy the world or destroy the multiverse, and the heroes and the good guys, the one that the mass collective gives all their soul energy to, all their awareness to, and wants to be like, they're the ones that save the multiverse. Now, if we look at the world today and then apply that same concept of this villain versus heroes movie, then that movie itself is going to have an energetic effect, especially if the movie is using Kabbalistic symbolism and Kabbalistic technology embedded in the movie, which it is. It will have a real life effect on our multiverse here on the physical plane. Here, the world we live in, the society we exist within, is going to be affected by this concept within the movie. So it's not a coincidence that there's always a villain trying to destroy the multiverse, and there's always heroes and good guys trying to save the multiverse. Because, once again, I'll say it again, if you are controlling the economy by programming the mass collective to be ignorant and programming them to be hellized, which means separating their awareness away from their soul, then you're basically controlling cattle. And if I have influence over the movie industry that is making movies for the mass collective and is creating real results from observation based on the ritualistic symbolism and concepts of these movies, then obviously the concept of the movie that I want to have is a concept where people are saving the multiverse that I am controlling. Even though you don't know who I am, and you don't know that I have full control over you, and that you're paying your taxes to me, and I am distracting you away from your highest potential. But you don't know that. You think everything's fair. You think the government has your best interest in mind. You think everything's operating the exact way it's supposed to, and that it's fair and just. That's what my intent would be if I'm controlling the world. Now, is this actually showing up in the movie industry today with the villain versus the good guys? Yes, it is. And this same technology is being applied in the world we live in right now. So the villain within these movies, for example, like Thanos, all he was really trying to do was destroy the corrupted multiverse so that he could rebuild his own, a brand new one. That's the same thing I'm trying to do. That's very strange. All these villains, most of these villains are doing, are trying to destroy the evil multiverse, the corrupted multiverse. Burn it down and then build their own. And in reality, with the world we live in today, the multiverse that we are currently living in is so far gone, it's so inverted, that the only way to create a new one is to burn the old one down. That's literally why in the world today, if you look on the news, there are floods happening, there are huge fires happening, earthquakes taking place, volcanic eruptions, death everywhere. We are literally in a version of the apocalypse right now. This is it. The multiverse is literally burning to the ground right now. So when you look at these villains within these movies that have been portrayed as these evil bad guys that you should moralistically hate because they're evil and they're trying to destroy the world, they're actually really the good guys. They're the good guys trying to destroy the world that is corrupt so that the new one can be built under the scope of evolution. So evil, or what has been portrayed as evil within this concept of movie making in the Hollywood industry, evil is actually what is necessary to harness and to use to destroy the corrupted multiverse. Now, from a scientific perspective, it would be called using dark matter energy on dark matter energy to destroy the corrupted structures that have built our inverted multiverse. You know, it's like, how are you going to destroy something that's strong and solid and huge? You're going to need some heavy-duty weapons. You're going to need some big weapons. Okay? When it comes to the realm of the psychic and the realm of the occult, we do the same thing energetically speaking. I'm not going to be able to destroy this corrupted multiverse or get rid of it by loving it and giving it light and trying to raise it up by saving it. I'm not going to be able to do that by saving it. That's actually what the people that control that multiverse would want me to do. They would want me to try to save their multiverse and raise the frequency of it so that in the process I lose my energy and it goes to their multiverse and they stay in power. That's exactly why we see this concept show up in all these A-list Hollywood movies, okay, that are based on the inner Sanhedrin Jewish bloodline, Kabbalistic tree, okay? And if you don't believe me, you don't need to believe me, but there are some people that are watching this that do gravitate towards the evil characters, the villainous characters. And that's because deep down in your unconscious and subconscious awareness, you recognize you have a deeper resonance with that villain because you understand the world we live in is corrupt and it's been inverted and that it needs to be burnt down. So when I watch movies, I always resonate more so with the villain. I obviously resonate with the good guys too, the heroes, but in my mind, I see the whole story differently. So I'm not thinking, oh, I need to side with the heroes because the villain's the bad guy. I'm looking at the villain and I love what the villain's doing. And I'm looking at the heroes and I love the heroes' powers and their willpower and their energy. So when I watch movies, I'm absorbing it all. I love all of it. But I know the deeper concept. I know the agenda behind the movie and what it's trying to do to my awareness. It's trying to make me think dualistically and trying to make me lock into the heroes and think good heroes. stand up for morals, stand up for rights, save humanity. And the villain, it's trying to make me think of the villain as bad. You are bad. You are wrong. I should push you away. I should say you are the devil and not look at you. When in reality, it's the villain. It's the evil character that's actually doing evolutionary work by trying to destroy the corrupt multiverse. Okay? If we're going to be taking the movies to a real life perspective, you know, because obviously the movies were made to have a real energetic effect on our multiverse. So if, once again, with the heroes trying to save the world, the multiverse in the movie, that can have a real energetic effect here in the physical plane, where people are going to try to save the multiverse that is corrupt. So that's what I have to say. I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up with this YouTube video. And yeah, I think that covered it. So if you enjoyed this, if you thought this was intriguing and you thought it was interesting and you want to do a little more research, then I do highly encourage you to do that. But also I encourage you to hit the like button. Definitely hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed this content. You're probably not hearing this information anywhere else. Maybe a few people, but, you know, sit on it. Be patient with this information. Let it come to you. See how you feel about it. Okay? That's what I'm going to say to that. Hit the subscribe button. I love to see my subscribers go up and up and up and up and up. And also hit the notification bell right next to that because I post videos as often as I can. And definitely feel free to copy the link of this video and send it to anybody that you think will like this video or gain value from it. Okay? Or any of my videos on my YouTube channel. Feel free to post it on your social medias. Spread this information like wildfire. Okay? And that's that. So what I would like to say is if you would like to gain access to exclusive content, over 100 videos of exclusive content that is all in the realm of the occult, in regards to deep practices, in regards to knowledge on the initiatory Kabbalistic system, in regards to the demonic, the angelic practices, step-by-step occult practices that you can take to gain power, all the way up to a service that I perform for you, then definitely check out my Patreon. That's going to be the very first link in this description. That's all I'm going to say. With that being said, I would love to give a special shout out to the top tier members of that Patreon. I have all their names that are mentioned below in the parentheses. Huge shout out to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, specifically for taking your practices to that next level. Okay? Now, I would like to give a second shout out to all of my Patreon members in general. Huge shout out to all of you for taking your knowledge, your studies, and your practices to that next level as well. That's always going to be highly appreciated. So huge shout out. Okay. Third shout out to all of my YouTube subscribers for really taking in and absorbing this information. I appreciate all of you as well. Okay. That's that. Now, the second link I would like to take your awareness to is a link that is in my YouTube description. Once again, it says Square Up Appointments, and that is exactly where you can book a tarot card reading with me, where I can literally pinpoint exactly where you are on this Kabbalistic tree. Okay, so I've done over 100 readings so far, and I've been able to locate where people are on their initiatory journey, whether they are aware of this Kabbalistic tree or not. It does not matter. So as long as you are taking your self-development and your spiritual development seriously, you are initiating through this Kabbalistic tree. Okay? So if you want to know where you are, where you're headed in your near future, and where you're going to be in your long-term future, and what types of energies come with that, then definitely look into booking a tarot card reading with me at the second link below in the description. Okay? Now, if you would like to become a YouTube member, where when I do my live streams, your name appears in green and I give you a special shout outs, and you gain access to an entire set of emojis that are specifically programmed for psychic warfare, where you can cause energetic harm to your enemies that come against your spiritual evolution, then definitely check out the third link in this YouTube description. That's where you can become a YouTube member. If you want to know a little bit more about that YouTube member program, I have an entire YouTube video that's titled In the Nature, YouTube members, parentheses, followed by Psychic Warfare Program. So definitely look into that video, and that will give you a lot more clarity on exactly how that emoji system functions. Okay? Other than that, this is going to wrap up the video. I highly appreciate all of you, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day or night, wherever you are, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.